Hi everyone, I am Junji B. Empanado, and today I'm going to present an eco-critical analysis of Robert Frost's beloved poem titled Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening. This poem is often praised for its simple language and profound meaning, but today we'll explore it through the lens of eco-criticism, focusing on the relationship between the human character and the natural world. Let's begin with a brief summary of this poem. The poem follows a traveler who stops to watch snow falling in the woods and captivated by the beauty and silence of the scene. He reflects on the stillness and solitude, but is eventually reminded of his responsibilities, promises to keep, and must move on. Here is the full poem, and let me read it line by line. Whose woods these are I think I know. His house is in the village though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near. Between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sounds the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. Before we proceed on the analysis, let us first define eco-criticism and identify key concepts associated with it. Eco-criticism is the study of the relationship between literature and the physical environment, which takes an earth-centered approach to literary study. Eco-criticism is an interdisciplinary field that examines the connections between literature and the environment. It draws on contributions from natural scientists, writers, literary critics, anthropologists, and historians to analyze the relationship between nature and culture. It encompasses various types, including pastoral, wilderness, and ecofeminism, each focusing on different aspects of the relationship between humans and the environment. Here are the key concepts in eco-criticism. First is nature as text. Eco-criticism views the environment as a text that can be analyzed and interpreted. It explores how nature is represented in literary works, examining the language, metaphors, and symbols used to describe the natural world. Second is human-nature relationship. A central concept in eco-criticism is the exploration of the relationship between humans and the natural world. This includes examining how literature portrays attitudes towards nature, the impact of human activities on the environment, and the ethical dimensions of these interactions. Third is place and landscape. Eco-criticism pays attention to the significance of place and landscape in literature. It analyzes how settings such as forests, mountains, or urban environments influence the narrative, characters, and themes of a work. The concept of place extends beyond the physical setting to include a consideration of the social, historical, and ecological context that influence a particular location. Fourth is anthropocentrism, the belief that human interests should be central, while biocentrism is the belief that all living things are equally important. Anthropocentrism, in its original connotation in environmental ethics, is the belief that value is human-centered and that all other beings are means to human ends. And last, wilderness and the sublime. Eco-criticism often engages with the concept of the sublime in nature. It examines how literature represents the awe-inspiring and sometimes terrifying aspects of the natural world, emphasizing the power and beauty found in wilderness areas. Now, let's proceed to the analysis. The poem Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening contains elements that can be interpreted through an eco-critical lens. The first is nature's allure. It is seen in the first stanza of the poem that begins by describing a picturesque scene of a traveler stopping by woods on a snowy evening. The vivid imagery captures the beauty and serenity of the natural world, enticing the speaker to pause and appreciate the scenery, like in the line, to watch his woods fill up with snow. This appreciation of the beauty of nature is in line with eco-critical viewpoints that stress how important it is to understand the inherent worth of the natural world. Moreover, the second concept of eco-criticism in the poem is natural versus human world, in which it is the juxtaposition of the woods and the frozen lake with the absence of human structures that shows the contrast between the natural and human worlds. While the line, darkest evening of the year, may suggest a profound enhances of its emotional and aesthetic impact. The presence of frozen lake indicates the winter season. The element is used to create a sense of time passing and the cyclical nature of the natural world. This temporal dimension connects with the eco-critical understanding of nature's rhythm and cycles, highlighting the interconnectedness of human and environment within a larger temporal framework. Additionally, the farmhouse's setting between the woods and the frozen lake highlights the complicated and frequently precarious relationship that exists between people and their surroundings. The abandoned wood pile serves as a reminder that human endeavors are transient and eventually dependent on natural processes. This placement in space represents the need for people to recognize their role in the greater ecological system. Readers are urged by eco-criticism to recognize this equilibrium and to honor the boundaries set by nature. Furthermore, the phrases "easy wind" and "downy flake" descriptions evoke a sense of peacefulness and quiet natural beauty. These noises highlight the peaceful existence and soft motions of the natural world, which are frequently overlooked in the rush of daily life. Eco-criticism appreciates these depictions because they serve as a constant reminder of the intrinsic worth and beauty of the natural world, unaffected by human activity. These phrases also advocate for an understanding of the subtle and sometimes disregarded features of nature, implying attention of the respect for the natural world. This awareness is promoted by eco-criticism as a first step toward more considerate and sustainable relationships with our surroundings. And then, the first line of the last stanza, "The woods are lovely, dark and deep," captures an essential meaning in the description of the woods as lovely suggests the intrinsic aesthetic natural value. Eco-criticism highlights the beauty and value of nature that extend beyond human use. This sentence encourages a viewpoint that values nature for its own sake by urging readers to recognize the innate beauty of the natural world. Subsequently, the lovely, dark, and deep woods attraction alludes to a profound spiritual and emotional bond between people and the natural world. By analyzing these relationships, eco-criticism draws attention to the ways in which natural settings affect human awareness and welfare. The allure of the woods alludes to desire for harmony and immersion in nature. Eventually, the three lines that follow, "But I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep," that the serene and inviting imagery of the woods evokes a space for contemplation and reflection. Such environments are highly valued by eco-criticism as being essential for promoting environmental consciousness and a more profound comprehension of our place in the natural world. In conclusion, based on the poem entitled Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening, it figures out that people can find solace for introspection in nature and re-establish a connection with both the natural world and themselves. It can be known as environmental ethics that the last three lines of the poem convey sense of responsibility and commitment to humans' obligations. This admission raises questions about how important it is to understand and carry out our social obligations. It can be seen as a reminder that despite the allure of nature, people have responsibilities and tasks that demand them to interact with the world outside of the wilderness.